Talk about this internet backlash cycle we saw with Hassan Piker this weekend, because it was really interesting to see like how it evolved. And while obviously I hope this is the case with any story that we cover on this show, I'd love if you reserved your comment on this one specifically, if you have a comment to share, until I finish the story. Because the way this whole situation started was with this specific clip of him going viral, which several captioned a variation of him saying that streaming is harder than a real job.
Yes, a real job can be gruesome. A real job can make you very tired, but a real job doesn't suck the soul out of you. You know what I mean? In the same way that 9 hours of streaming absolutely will.
And so unsurprisingly, this blows up. Tons of people saying he is completely out of touch with the real world. Content creators are so fucking annoying. People saying they would kill to have a job and lifestyle like
No,
his.
he's saying it's out of context. Hold on. Hold on.
For $12 an hour. Specifically saying this guy makes shit up for 9 hours a day, and his commute to work is walking into his 5th bedroom in his $3 million mansion. But this is others defending him, saying, hey, this clip was taken out of context. And adding, I get that expecting the neets on this dumbass site to understand the nuance of how different jobs drain you in different ways is insane, but oh well. And this is something that Hasan addressed himself, explaining. I was talking about how much a 9-hour stream eats away at my social battery and how I can't socialize after, comparing it to my sales job before. I recognize how fortunate I am every day, with him then including clips of context where he says,
No. Social battery wise, unless you're in retail, it's very different. A real job does not expend your social battery in the same way as someone who did a sales job, a real job. Okay. I'm telling you, as someone who did both, like 9 hours of constant performance and people pleasing taps you out from social scenarios. After 9 hours of that, I could probably do physical labor. It would not bother me, but I can't do more social. That's my point.
We're saying you could compare it to some real jobs like customer service, because those are the ones where you're just always on, that involve the most emotional labor. And adding,
yeah, think about it this way. Like, you give
Who is that Rolex wearing Confederate? A conservative. I only like Emo-san. Yeah, I love that I'm wearing the Rolex hat too. People always love yelling about me. People always love yelling about me wearing the Rolex hat as though I own Rolex or something. I don't. I got it for free.
presentations for your job, right? Imagine giving a presentation for 9 hours straight. I'm a profoundly fortunate individual. This is the lottery. Having said that, my social battery runs out after 9.5 hours of streaming. 9.5 hours of constantly trying to be on takes a mental toll on my social battery specifically. It's not as physically taxing.
So it appears that he's talking about how certain jobs can drain a certain facet of your energy more. And saying, sure, there may be people with a variety of jobs, including some people even in sales, who would argue their job burns out their social battery. But for him, saying streaming can be a heightened version of that. And so there, I understand what he's saying, though I do have a disagreement, although I'm not even sure it's a disagreement. Just even with the full context when he's talking about other jobs, right? People can get breaks. So part of the reason I get frustrated with myself whenever I have complaints about my job is that pretty much all the problems in my life, they are self-imposed. And I am in a powerful enough position at any point in my life to go,
he's right about this, which is why it's there's no disagreement here. I'm not talking about what I'm doing as something I'm chained to the fucking table. This is the thing I don't personally understand. But it is weird when people are just yeah, just don't fucking stream, lol. Okay, well, then I get a different job at that point, which is still soul crushing and soul sucking. 25K people or 50K eyeballs on Hasan right now would be mentally straining.
I'm going to cut it short today. I'm going to take that extra break. I'm not, most recently, going to work through President's Day. And understanding.
By the way, this is precisely the reason why so many fucking YouTubers quit recently. So many big YouTubers after 10 years of doing it quit. And those guys have an output that is infinitely more managed than mine. I can't manage the way that people receive what I'm saying in the same exact way that a YouTuber can. And that's why a lot of YouTubers personally don't fucking actually stream. That's the beautiful part about a lot of these YouTubers who will posture. Not saying Philip DeFranco is doing this, but so many of these YouTubers I've talked to Okay. But it's not worse than a retail job? Of course it's not. I never fucking said that. I actually said the exact opposite in the point that I was making that conveniently was left out of the context. You are explaining a scenario where you had no social battery in a specific scenario for a specific party and thought you had. Yeah. Anyway. The part that he disagreed with was the breaks part. So, you get another job. The thing is, you've already made more money from streaming than the entire lifetime income of most people. Yes, this is also true. I don't know why we're having this, like we're relitigating this. Like people want me to fucking quit. Obviously, if I wanted to, I could just literally go and invest, okay? Which is what many people do. So many people do this. They go, they take the money that they've made and they invest and they can live comfortably off of that for the rest of their lives. I don't simply fucking stream on Twitch because I'm making a lot of money, okay? If that was the case, I wouldn't do fucking politics. And if I were to do politics, there are infinitely better avenues of doing politics in a way that is both infinitely more financially secure and also simultaneously doesn't incur the wrath of every fucking incel, every right-winger on the planet. I stream on Twitch for 9 hours a day, not because I'm chained to the fucking table. I stream on Twitch for 9 hours a day because, one, I love doing this. I'm very fortunate. And two, especially in my news coverage, sorry, I just got my leg stuck on something. Especially when it comes to my news coverage, I care about the things that I'm speaking on. I care about being able to foster a community. In moments of self-reflection, I talk about this quite a bit. For example, I always bring up in the aftermath of a successful fundraising campaign for Palestinian Children's Relief Fund or for Ukraine or a successful fundraising campaign for abortion funds in the South so that women can get access to medical care. Or when we raised millions of dollars for victims of the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. I talk about the impact that we have as a community and how fortunate I am to be able to do such things, to have a community of passionate individuals that care about the world, that care about what the fuck's going on, and try to do their very best to make the world a little bit better. That's why I do what I do. Okay? I have never made it seem like I'm suffering from financial stress or anything like that. As a matter of fact, it's quite the opposite, and I openly and regularly talk about that. Says something nobody agrees with, instantly backpedals on it. I agree with a lot of your takes, but straight up rich streamers, including yourself, are completely out of touch. I do agree with what you're saying. I think rich streamers, including myself, are increasingly more out of touch the wealthier they get or the further they get away from their own personal experiences in the real world with real jobs. But the idea that I said something that nobody agrees with and immediately backpedaled is very much devoid of the context of the situation. Having a conversation about my own personal experiences with my own job in the past, a real world job when I was in sales versus streaming on Twitch, right, is not something that nobody agrees with. It's just you don't agree with it, devoid of the context. And when I describe the context, you're saying, I don't care about the context. That's it. Just because you voluntarily fed into someone personally misrepresenting my argument doesn't change my argument at all. It's not even a fucking argument. It's just my experience. You know what I mean? I'm not like making a broader assertion about the way that labor works at all. Anyway. but it's okay. One thing that I mentioned yesterday was that I understand why people, when they see that, get very mad. Because a lot of people are suffering financially. This is something that I talked about with Ethan when we first started Leftovers. If you recall, it was public, where Ethan was like, fuck the haters for shitting on you for buying a house. Fuck them. Like, and I told him, like, very publicly on camera, that I understand the resentment and I understand the anger, because we are not unique individuals in any meaningful way. We are the same as everybody else, but with one major difference. We hit the fucking lottery. Okay? We are profoundly fortunate individuals. So obviously, you look at that and you're like, well, this guy doesn't have anything else going on. He's doing the same shit I'm doing all fucking day, and he's making a shit ton of money off of it. Fuck him. Fuck him for making a shit ton of money off of this. Okay? I get it. I get why so many people get mad at that. I do. The people I have smoke for, however, are the people that are in the field of entertainment themselves and do some version of it, whether they're a YouTuber or whether they're a live streamer themselves, who will use this as an opportunity to farm those other people who are not, to be like, I'm on your side. This guy's a real fucking asshole, right? I'm in a totally different boat than he is. That's it. Those are the people who are shameless. I don't like that. That's it.
That from a business owning standpoint, yeah, I might take a hit. I might make less money. And this is, I'm in a powerful enough and well enough off position that I can make that choice. Right? So it's about balance and compromise and making concessions. Like right now, I could be making 3 times the money that I am making, but I'm not doing that because I know that it will do things to me that over a certain period of time will make me want to jump off a fucking bridge. And I would guess that Hasan is probably self-aware enough to realize that he is one of his own biggest enemies. Like a lot of self-employed people are. And so if it was a big enough deal to Hasan that, his social battery is drained because he has this current schedule and this current thing, then he has the power to change that. So you can understand where he's trying to come from and what he's meaning, but you can also easily see why it might be hard to sympathize with to someone who doesn't have control over their schedule or work. Because I want to do the stupid thing that you do.
Yeah. Also, the argument that I make all the time is that I'm profoundly lucky, and I have luck not because of the amount of money I make mostly, but because of the autonomy that I have. It is the freedom to say, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to fucking take time off. If I want to, I could do that. I could take a fucking month off if I wanted to. I've never been able to have that freedom, but even having that freedom now, even if I don't exercise it, still is incredible. I've talked about this a very long time ago. I've repeated it a lot, where I was very fortunate even early on, but I used to hate fucking the feeling that I got Sunday night. And many of you recognize this feeling, the idea that you hate Mondays, right? Like Sunday afternoon comes around and you start feeling really shitty. You're like, oh, fuck, like I got to go back to work. I don't have any fucking control over it. I don't have that fear. I don't have that anger. I don't have that feeling. And that is because, for me, I am my own boss. I have autonomy. I do not have the same alienation from my labor. And my goal and what I believe in and what I want for everyone to be able to experience is have some semblance of that same autonomy in their workplace. This is precisely why I advocate for unions. This is precisely why I advocate for workers to take more control over their own lives. This is why I find it hilarious when people turn around and try to say I'm anti-worker. It is akin to saying that I'm anti-Palestinian or anti-trans. So no matter what people say on Twitter, especially all the entrepreneurs and all of the blue check mark havers and the people that try to make a living, you know, smearing people, peddling drama. The fundamentals are not going to change in the way that I view the world, which is why I am a firm believer that, like, even if you come in here as someone who was maybe misguided and you saw the clip and you're like, fuck this guy, I fucking hate this guy. And you came in to either one, seek further context, or two, came in because you were like, I want to fucking tell him what's what. Fuck that guy. I hate that guy. Right? If you stick around for long enough, you will recognize that even on accident, that these positions are not ones that I hold as far as like anti-worker takes goes.
On the internet with having
Hasan thinks streaming is harder than the oil rig. Yes, it is, objectively.
a nuanced take on something is that I think a lot of the clips that went viral of him with this situation were taken out of context. They do not include the nuance. But you can also see that while at the same time, while taking in the full scope of things, not empathizing with some of his points. Because yeah, I took it more of like, if you have a job where you're talking to people all day when you get off work, you might just want some alone time. You might not be good at talking with people. If you're a chef and you've been cooking all day, you might want just some fucking toast and beans. You've been working some physical back-breaking labor job.
Yeah, I mean, that's precisely what I was saying is like, yeah, I talk all day. And it is like very mentally draining and it drains your social battery. And people were like, how dare you fucking say that? Oh my God, dude, shut the fuck up, dude. Shut your stupid fucking mouth. I don't care.
Thing you want to do is some fucking chores at home. You probably want to just grab a drink and shoot the shit with people. Or then finally, to like put a little personal touch on this, after a day of shooting the show and filming out, deep dives into stories for future episodes, literally the last thing I want to do in my real life is talk about the news. But
you know what's funny that he said that? I still do love talking about politics, even after all that shit, okay? Even after all of that shit. What about the claim that your grandfather's an uber rich landlord? It is true. He wasn't uber rich, but he was definitely a landlord. The problem is, I've talked about this very publicly. Both of my grandparents were hit with the Piker curse and the Uyghur curse, I guess, where they made a shit ton of money. My grandfather on my father's side made a shit ton of money, literally fucking landlording, okay? And then retired early and then lost all of it.
what I think Hasan is saying, this is not me saying my job is harder than other jobs. Do not confuse that, because it is not. This is literally the easiest job I've ever had. Because you know what? My life is not paycheck to paycheck. My asshole boss, that's me. And if at any point I want to stop or change.
I like that he's saying these things, but like, I don't know why he's like presenting this as though I disagree with him on this, because like I also agree with him on this.
Things I can. And again, I say all this with the belief that a real world job is infinitely harder than, streaming or making YouTube videos. But I also feel like, given the full scope of everything that he said and the full context clip, this has blown up to insane proportions. But with now all that said, and I thank you if you waited until this moment, I'd love to know your thoughts on this in those comments down below. And then
he said it might not be a disagreement. Yeah, true. He doesn't present it as a disagreement.